left with Mono Green. Mono Green sitting at 5-0 right now, looking like it might be the real deal, but I think this is actually a pretty good test to see just how real this deck is, because it's going to be playing against a deck that does have Supreme Verdict, does have Planeswalkers and counter spells and all that stuff against a deck that is all creatures all the time. So can Renner and his Mono Green deck stand up to a very flexible control deck in blue-white? I mean, on the draw, nonetheless.
I know that your friend said that Esper was his worst matchup. I mean, a part of that could obviously be the black spells, but how much of it is Sphinx's Rev? How much of it is Supreme Verdict?
Yeah, I could see those all weighing into the equation. Detention Sphere as well. Can't ignore Azorius Charm either as that Time Walk type effect, as Renner's going to start off in an Experiment 1, see if he has some sort of 2-drop to get the party started, as Schomer is just on basics to start. Again, blue-white going to play a lot more basics than your normal control deck because it's only 16 basics in the deck.
One of the things that I see, he's got 2 Mutavaults. Maybe I'm a greedy guy, but I love more than that.
Yeah, I like Mutavault quite a bit as well. Here's a Burning Emissary where Schomer's opting not to cast Syncopate on that. He's going to let it resolve, and now the Elvish Mystic comes in after that. You can't Syncopate that because Renner can pay, so he gets in for 2 with Experiment 1. No Syncopate being cast, a little bit surprising. Not sure if it's going to get any better than that situation.
And maybe he's thinking, oh, there's not going to be too much pain, and I'll just Supreme Verdict later. I can D-Sphere the Experiment 1, but I don't know. I feel like Syncopate gets unplayable very quickly, and I'm happy to use it as soon as I can, particularly on a card like Burning Tree Emissary, where when you get rid of it, they don't get to make another play. The power of Burning Tree Emissary is that second play.
Detention Sphere is going to take care of Experiment 1. Burning Tree Emissary is going to come into the red zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a very large green creature come into play this turn, and there is one in Pelucranos, the World Eater.
Now, will we see a Supreme Verdict? He's like, do you want to read it? And he's like, no, I'm just going to blow it all up.
Yep. Yeah. No need to read it. It could say you win the game if it attacks, because it's dead right now. So Verdict is a nice clean 3-for-1 there.
Chris Renner down 3 cards from that Supreme Verdict, as you said. He's going to replace Boon Satyr in the main phase. You could make this as an instant, but, you know, end of your turn Itis does kill. His opponent was tapped out. That means it can't be countered if he's tapped out.
Yeah, Syncopate is shut off then as a result. Now imagine if we go back and we see Syncopate take care of the Burning Tree Emissary, then Detention Sphere would be a clean answer for this Boon Satyr. Don't know if this is going to be a problem here for Schomer or not. He still does have a Syncopate, however, that, you know, maybe he was just thinking, I can Syncopate just one of the larger threats, like a Nylea or, you know, a Colonial Hydra or something like that, because he is leaving Syncopate mana up now and does still have it instead of taking care of that Burning Tree Emissary from earlier.
I see, I believe I saw an Elvish Mystic in Chris's hand, but nothing that seems that is too frightening here for Jeff. Jeff at 16 life, that Boon Satyr comes in on its own. Is it going to be Azorius Charm? Is anything going to happen? Nope, take 4.
Looks like a handful of lands and a Syncopate there. Yeah, he's got a rev.
Sphinx.
He's got a rev. All right, he's doing just fine. There's an Elvish Mystic.
Okay.
Wonder if we didn't see Mutavault get into the red zone, so I wonder if Renner has another play to make, and he does. It's another
double
Elvish Mystic.
Well, you know, the Supreme Verdict's going to be bad. I think you lose anyway if he verdicts, so why not just say, show me the verdict?
Yeah, well, he just drew one this turn, actually.
Boom.
So Verdict is another 3-for-1 now on Renner. So now he's basically just working with a Mutavault and not much else. He does have a Reverent Hunter in his hand, but Devotion Check would be for 1 green, so it would be a Gray Ogre, which is not the not the best thing in the world.
Oh, he's like, I don't even want you to have a Gray Ogre.
Yeah, Syncopate.
That's too much.
Kindly leave.
And remember, the Rev is hanging out. That's the Sphinx's Revelation hanging out in Jeff Schomer's hand. Return of the Jedi sleeves. Pelucranos works for me. I'll draw 4 cards, gain 4 life.
1 mythic for a mythic, basically. 3 and 4. First card drawn for Schomer was a copy of Elspeth's Sun's Champion, so that'll be the way that he can close out the game. Not perfect yet, but getting very, very close is Schomer to being able to close out this game. He might just jam Elspeth right now. He's going to.
Ouch. Minus ability. Take that, Pelucranos.
Well, I mean, Renner could take care of Elspeth with that Mutavault, assuming that Schomer doesn't have anything, but one Azorius Charm blows that up and probably spells doom for Renner on this game.
Let's see what we have. Put him to the test. Mutavault comes on in. A 2/2 bear, a 2/2 sliver, a 2/2 whatever you want to have it be.
All right, well, there goes the Elspeth. And now follow up with the Burning Tree Emissary, and there's an Essence Scatter. So you see that Schomer's just trading resources as fast as he can, just whatever he's whatever Renner plays, just counter that, kill that, do those things, because he just wants to get the cards out of his hand while making his land drops, so that when he draws his next Revelation, he doesn't have to worry about discarding or anything of that. He can just 1-for-1 all day, rev his hand back to full, and then Renner can never come back from that.
8 mana, 9 mana now. Gonna see perhaps a Jace. Yep. There's a Jace, and he does the flip.
Hit 1, 2, and 3. You see Island, Jace, and Supreme Verdict. And I think it's a pretty easy take the Jace there. Put those on the bottom. And again, Renner doesn't have any cards in his hand. There's a Fiendslayer Paladin to blank the Mutavault and just pass the turn back.
I really like this Fiendslayer Paladin, actually. Just the ability to have an actual life gain spell that doesn't cost, a lot of mana.
Mm-hmm. And I also like that, again, people were moving towards Precinct Captain in that slot of like a guy that you can play in your main deck to actually be pretty good against red, but I think Precinct Captain, again, as we discussed earlier, is just very easy to kill with Shock and Lightning Strike and Magma Jet, where it's never going to do what you want it to do. You see another Revelation here for 4, but Fiendslayer Paladin actually is really good against red because you can't kill it with those named burn spells, and this thing is something that actually does hold the fort down against red.
Yeah. I mean, in order to kill this thing, it's going to have to get into combat and then not die.
Yeah.
First Strike makes that actually kind of hard.
Yeah, it's very rare that it's going to lose a battle against any red creature. Detention Sphere, Aetherling, and Elspeth. And it's funny that Aetherling's going to go to the bottom, but at this point, I'd rather have the Elspeth and Detention Sphere too. Either one of those cards is going to close out the game.
I mean, if I'm Chris Renner here, I'd be shuffling already. Just, well, to be fair, maybe I'll learn more. Never mind, I wouldn't be shuffling already.
Sure.
I'd be letting Jeff kill me.
I mean, if you subscribe to the Reed Duke School of Magic, which I think most people should, make your opponent kill you. No reason to concede. Just play the game out, and it's probably not going to take much longer, but you never know if your opponent's going to make some sort of egregious error that'll lead to your victory.
I mean, we can think back just to the Legacy. I believe it was the Legacy portion of the Invitational where Reed Duke allowed his opponent to make those kind of errors, and an unwinnable game became a win.
Yeah.
Playing against Stacks, I believe.
So Renner is going to concede the game. So Jeff Schomer is up a game, blue-eye control versus mono green, and this is kind of the fear for me with mono green, in which a deck where you're incredibly linear, you have all creatures, and you don't have much of a choice but to extend into Supreme Verdicts, where I think you do put your opponent in the situation of Supreme Verdict or bust, but if you do have Supreme Verdict, you probably do end up losing. We'll go to the sideboards here. I'll let you take a look at mono green first.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's really exciting from Chris Renner's sideboard is 3 Mistcutter Hydra. They can't be countered. They have haste. They have Pro Blue. If you see it up on the screen, green X for the Mistcutter Hydra gives you an XX hasty, uncounterable, unazorius, charmable creature. So that actually seems like it could be a very, very powerful card. The other card that I see being potentially very powerful is Garruk, Caller of Beasts. We saw how much this was effective against Jeff Rasmussen playing a very different kind of control deck, but just being able to refill, call up the party, have everyone show up. The other cards, not so much for this matchup. 2 Fade into Antiquity. You can RFG a enchantment or artifact. 4 Nylea's Disciples. You can gain some life. And 3 Time to Feed. I think he might actually be playing the exact Magic League version that was talked about previously. But meanwhile, what does Jeff Schomer have from the blue-white side?
I think Schomer's side here, it looks like the matchup is already, I would say, favorable for him. Not sure how favorable, but it seems like things are definitely on his side here. 2 more copies of Fiendslayer Paladin. Again, that's going to make his red matchup much better, but the green creatures will typically outclass that, so those will probably stay in the sideboard. 2 copy of Yolk Ox, again, for red, not for this particular matchup. 2 Dispel, 2 Negate. More for your mirror-type matchups, your Revelation Mirrors. 2 copies of Pithing Needle. Again, more of a mirror-type card. 2 copies of Glare of Heresy. That's the white hate card, so obviously not coming in here. A Jace Memory Adept, a Last Breath, and a Celestial Flare. Of these 15 cards that have been mentioned, I think the only one that's actually good in this situation is Celestial Flare, and I don't even think it's that great. I think it's fine. I think it's worth bringing in, but other than that, I don't really love it in this one. It is nice that Jace Memory Adept does provide a card-drawing engine and can close out games quickly, but I don't think that finishers are something that he really needs to worry about. If he's ever able to stabilize the game, as Schomer did in the first game. Closing the game out is not going to be very difficult. Resolve a big Rev, find an Elspeth, find an Aetherling, that's lights out. So I don't even think he really needs Jace in this matchup as well. I think it's pretty easy to sit pretty, board in that Flare, maybe board out a Fiendslayer Paladin. I suppose you could board in Last Breath if you'd like to, and board out the other Fiendslayer Paladin, and really just call it a day.
Celestial Flare definitely seems like it has a lot of utility. Unfortunately for Jeff Schomer, it's an edict effect, and there are a lot of random duders that Chris has. However, if he is able to do that Supreme Verdict, and then Chris comes over, let's say with that Mistcutter Hydra, a Celestial Flare can certainly take care of it. And only one means you're not going to get kind of clogged with it if there's a swarm out there.
Mm-hmm. And it's a card right now that's not really, the industry standard as far as sideboards go. So it's a card that I would be surprised if Renner does play around. It just isn't seeing a lot of constructed play, and there's not really a lot of press about it at this point. So I don't think it'll be well ingrained in a lot of players' minds that, hey, this is a card that does exist. People will think about Azorius Charm a lot of the time and then just go, all right, I guess I just have to attack her to get Time Walk. But actually having your guy die, I think that's a world of difference.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that in blue-white, I guess that'd be 2 full rotations ago, the White Edict effect is the equivalent of having a Doomblade effect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a great ability, whether it's at white-white or at white-2, but sometimes it just fits a role.
So you see both players taking a look at their opening 7 cards. Renner's going to be on the play as he is down a game. We'll see if he has found a keepable hand to put some pressure on Schomer here, and maybe he can dodge one of those Supreme Verdicts this go around, as the 2 Supreme Verdicts that Schomer played in the previous game were both 3-for-1s. As Renner's going to start off with a Mutavault here, and there is a Yoked Ox. So a little surprised to see him board in these creatures here against a green deck that has very, very large guys.
Now, the mono green deck with a very anemic beginning here.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Wow,
I mean, that's going to be a
play?
Boon Satyr, maybe?
Yeah.
Better be. If there's not a
I
Boon Satyr.
agree with you. There better be a Boon Satyr coming up here. Because you do not have much interest in playing a long game against a blue-white control deck. You have no reach, and your threats are not all that durable. You don't have cards like Rootboard Defenses to make sure that your guys live, so you need to really bust the gate down.
I mean, one of the things I was thinking about when you were comparing Boon Satyr to block is that Boon Satyr in some ways almost acts as though you're giving everybody indestructible, because usually you're protecting, like, say, from a Supreme Verdict, let's say 5 power.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do that, Supreme Verdict, oh, all my guys die, but you can replace it with 4 power. I mean, maybe it's not as good, but it's often going to be pretty similar.
So there's an Nylea.
Ooh, boy.
God of the Hunt. That's the first play for Renner this game, and we'll see if Schomer even wants that to resolve. So there's a Dissolve. He does not care at all about that card. So Dissolve, going to scry 1, leave a card on the top. Yoked Ox sitting here playing defense, pretty much blanking that Mutavault. And there is a Jace, so now the card advantage engine is online. Schomer very happy to -2 this. There's an Aetherling, there's a Rev, and there is a Plains. Best of luck splitting that.
I mean, best of luck winning at this point. One of the things that Chris Renner, if he's kept this hand for whatever reason, what he's got to be imagining is that, oh, what I'll do is I'll drop huge creature, huge thing, and that'll be how I win. A blue-white deck can handle that.
Yeah, a blue-white deck doesn't care about that. That plays right into their strengths. You don't provide that fast of a clock. You have big guys that die to Supreme Verdict and die to Detention Sphere and get Time Walked by Azorius Charm. Everything that Renner's deck is doing right now kind of plays in exactly what Schomer wants to be playing against. He's not being pressured very quickly. Your threats don't have a lot of durability, and you can't rebuild your board very, very quickly. So, and a card, like Nylea, there's so much assembly required with that card that it's basically blank, as here is a copy of Colonial Hydra, but you have to imagine that Schomer just has an answer to this card. It seems like it'd be impossible not to.
He hasn't had to answer anything yet.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, oh, what does that do?
Yeah. This doesn't have hexproof, right? Okay, cool. I could probably deal with it then.
Well, I will choose one of my many, many answers.
And I think he has a Celestial Flare in hand right now for that card. I'm not 100% positive on that. He did draw Divination for the turn, so he can certainly start by drawing cards. He can even just, use the rest of his Jace to get deeper into his deck to find an answer if he doesn't have one. I think if he does use the rest of his Jace, it will be kind of telling that he doesn't have an answer.
It's land. That's what he wants. Right. Give me some land.
Yeah, 2 Guild Gates and an island. And I think you chop it up. Double Guild Gate. I think. Because like the first one, you're giving him an untapped land and a tap land. I think I'd rather give him 2 tap lands if he's having issues with his mana.
Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Divination?
All right, a little deeper. Hit 1, hit 2.
I wonder how many cards he has in his hand right
A
now.
lot.
Is he going to get to the discard stage? Is that where he's going to go?
He hasn't played a land just yet. There's his Azorius Guildgate, and it looks like he has exactly 7. Yep.
How lucky.
Okay, you're going to discard Azorius Guildgate, so he did have 8. But what he doesn't have, quite obviously, is an answer to Colonial Hydra, which is very surprising to me.
That's
That's even possible right now.
Really shocking. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought I saw a Last Breath hanging out, but it actually is just a copy of Fiendslayer Paladin, is what Schomer has in the grip. He also has multiple copies of Revelation. Now here is Nylea, so the devotion,
wow.
the devotion of that is 3. Mutavault activation, get in there. I guess Celestial Flare wouldn't actually be that good in this situation because Renner did have a Mutavault, so you could actually sacrifice that. You see Yolkok's going to get in front of this, and he's going to end up taking 8 as Schomer and go down to 12. And now he'll be facing what looks to be a lethal attack next turn.
I don't understand what happened.
Yeah, I don't know where I am right now. I don't know. That's how we do business in Cleveland, I guess.
Boy. And Jeff Schomer, I see that tap on the table. To me, that's the tap. That's a tell tap. Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, we're revving for 3 is what we do. We go up to 15, but that Hydra's attacking for 16, and there's the potential for Nylea to be coming in as well. So not in love with this situation for the blue-white control player.
16 minus 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. He could theoretically survive this turn.
Okay.
If Chris Renner doesn't do anything that requires Jeff Schomer to spend mana. And you know what I bet is in Chris's hand? A green spell.
Chances are high. But does he even need a green spell to win right now is the question.
He doesn't kill Jeff if he just attacks. Oh wait, he's got the pump ability.
Yeah, he's got the pump
Oh,
ability.
he doesn't even need it.
There's a miscut. Jeez.
Oh my god.
All right, so that was actually insane. So Miscutter Hydra is going to come in, and obviously it's uncounterable, and it has Pro Blue, and the Hydra is going to double the counters on it, and it's going to have Trample because of Nylea. So this is an attack for approximately 300 damage.
Why is that guy technical? Well, it's got haste.
Yeah, it has a lot of keywords on it.
And now I think what he's got to do is he's got to rev for the hope of an Azorius Charm.
No, it doesn't do very much. I mean, okay, so the Hydra's at 12/12. He can block with the Yolkox, and yeah, he has the Azorius Charm, the Colonial Hydra.
Yeah,
so he has to rev for 1. Sure. It would have at least given him an opportunity to stay in the game. I agree with you. Either way, Chris Renner is going to tie this matchup up with Jeff Schomer. Didn't expect to see Mono Green win that game.
I did not expect to see. Okay, after turn 1, I felt a little bit like, I don't even know if Green's doing well here. After turn 2, I thought this is going pretty bad. After turn 3, I thought I don't think it can happen. Turn 4, I still was like, I don't think he's got a chance. And then he won on turn 7.
Yeah, turn 7 or turn 8.
There was this reminds me actually of round 2. Where the mono red player ended up winning. I want to say that was Higginbottom.
Yeah, it's Higginbottom, yep.
And I was thinking to myself, somewhere in the middle of that game, well, it's all done. Red can't possibly win it. And you know what? The blue-based deck just didn't have it. It didn't have enough to stop what came there.
Yeah,
so,
the question I would be asking myself if I was in Schomer's position is what went wrong? Which is just a lot of mana flooding. Now, you know, there are a couple things that you can look to there, though, as well, if you're trying to improve as a Magic player. What did Yolkox do that game?
I think I remember that it went on the table on turn 1.
Turn 1 or turn 2.
Yep.
And it blocked Mutavault once, and it did nothing else.
It fake blocked it twice.
Yes. So you're infesting a card that really did not have much of an impact. And of course, when you draw your sideboard cards, you're boarding them in so that you do draw them because they're supposed to be high impact cards. So he draws a Yolkox. It does virtually nothing. He drew a Fiendslayer Paladin. It did virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have these cards in your deck after sideboard where you want to have high impact cards in your deck because your opponent's going to be boarding in high impact cards, those are 2 cards that he had in his deck that he did draw that did nothing. So that has to be something at the forefront of his mind that says, all right, I have these 2 cards, I drew them, they had no impact on the game, so I should probably have something to board in that's better than them. or I can't keep hands based off the fact that I have drawn them.
I mean, I think he drew 2 Fiendslayer Paladins.
He drew at least one.
I mean, it could have been one. I mean, it definitely was one.
Yeah.
But I think he drew 2. I thought I saw another one, and I was just a 2/2 first striker in this matchup. I mean, I guess it matches up against a Burning Tree Emissary if nothing goes badly.
Yeah, I mean, green just laughs at cards like that. Of course, you know, it's pro red and pro black, so it signifies what that card is. Not pro red, but I mean, obviously the targeting with pro red and pro black.
Yeah.
You know, it signifies what decks that card is good against, and green is quite obviously not one of them. Its creatures are too big. It's not going to win the fight against the green creatures, as we are underway here in game number 3. And I just don't think it's a card that should be in Schomer's deck after sideboard, even though, again, I know his options aren't great after sideboard, but I think he can do better than Fiendslayer Paladin.
I was just thinking, you're talking about whether Chris needed to even cast anything, and we see a Tusker joining the table. You know, I wouldn't have shown that Hydra. I would have just attacked and pumped.
Yeah, if he didn't need to show the Hydra, like if he can win the game for sure without having to cast the Hydra, then I'm with you. Then I don't show it, but I don't think it's a lock.
Well, to be fair, he did not know Jeff was dead. You
Yeah.
know, he has an untapped opponent with infinite open mana.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's the flip side of it, right? Where, you know, you give away the information that, hey, I have Hydra in my deck, so this is something you need to play around, but it also will cause Schomer to think more about that card in the future as, oh man, I have to worry about Miscut or Hydra just doming me for X amount of damage. That's a major concern for me. As now you see Fiendslayer Paladin on the table there from Schomer, and look at how it's being outclassed very easily right now by these Tuskers. But Schomer has drawn a Detention Sphere for a huge 2-for-1.
Amazing turn. Now, Colonian Tusker, it looks like an elephant to me, personally.
Oh, that's a beast. That thing's a beast.
I mean, it is a beast, but it looks like an elephant.
Well, they're both in after-school studies. I'm sorry for that horrible, horrible joke.
Nice.
I really wish I didn't say that. As a Dead Bridge Goliath is going to come into play right now. Again, outclassing the Fiendslayer Paladin.
I mean, this Fiendslayer Paladin has successfully gained 2 life for Jeff Schomer, but that's a lot of mana to invest in a creature that will get Supreme Verdicted away.
Yeah, man, are we interested in cards that do gain 2 life and that's it? I'm trying to think of a card that's just like, you know, just says gain 2 life. The best thing I can think of right now is Renewed Faith, and that one cycled and had other applications.
I mean, Jeff, if this game plays out like it ought to, Jeff should be expecting he'll need to cast Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
Chris Renner comes on in with a huge, huge bug.
So if we're going to see an Azorius Charm or anything of that nature right now, maybe just Fiendslayer Paladin gets flattened underneath the bust that is Dead Bridge Goliath.
Is there a flare?
We know he has one after sideboard.
He does have one in the main.
One in his main too, so he does have access to 2 of those.
Oh, he
but
takes it.
Just 5. So Schomer's going to move down to 14.
If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Cedric Phillips. This is round 6 of 9 here in the sunny city of Cleveland for the StarCityGames.com Open Series. Day 1 is standard, and day 2, of course, will be Legacy. Right now, Mono Green, a surprise deck here in this room. Chris Renner on the left piloting Mono Green versus Jeff Schomer with Blue-White Control, a deck we expect to see, I think. And here comes a god. No, sir.
Yep, it will be Dissolved. Scry 1 here for Schomer again. He was having a little bit of mana issues, so you can see his hand, he's got a lot of spells, he just needs lands. Again, his deck has 26 of them, so he just wants to make sure he's hitting his land drops consistently, as here comes the Fiendslayer Paladin, and Schomer did just draw an Azorius Guildgate, so he'll be able to at least make his 5th land drop.
Okay, we've got up to 4 life gain.
He's got another Fiendslayer Paladin in his hand, so he's going to cast another one of those.
In for a penny.
Elvish Mystic to draw here for Renner on this turn. Not sure if he has another land in his hand. There is a Mistcutter Paladin hanging out. You can see Schomer's hand right now. He has an Elspeth, he has an Aetherling, and he does have a Supreme Verdict. So he's sitting pretty well as long as he just does draw lands. It's going to be a very hard game for Renner to be able to win, but he's going to start with an Elvish Mystic and then the Reverent Hunter. A little devotion action. Going to put 4 counters on that, make it a 5/5.
God, that card it just keeps on impressing me.
Yeah, it's
every
huge.
time I see it played, well, not every time. I saw it as a Grey Ogre once, but that's a real deal. That is a real deal.
Yeah. Like that card a lot, as Deadbridge is going to come across into the red zone. 5 damage going Schomer's way, and now you've got the 5/5 Revenant Hunter on defense, which means that we're likely going to see those Fiend Slayers get in and then see a Supreme Verdict, depending on, of course, what Schomer does draw. But I wouldn't be surprised to see if that's the series of events that are going to be coming soon.
I mean, I think that those two, the net result of those two Paladins is going to be a total of 10 extra life for Jeff. Because they stopped 1 Mutavault attack, and they will have gained a total of 8 otherwise.
Okay. He's just going to pass the turn
he
back
could chump. He could chump for a turn.
Yeah, I mean, chump on both the 5/5s is certainly pretty good. And it makes it so that he gains 4 life, he goes up to 15, and it might cause Renner to actually extend a little bit as well. There is a forest for the turn. Not positive that'll happen, of course. Depends on what Renner's options are right now. I mean, he might have one of those Garrett Caller Beasts in his hand, which would turn this game around dramatically.
That'd be almost more of an over-the-top moment.
Yeah.
Here they come.
Nylea would have been a great play from Renner to start combat. Would have been able to force through a lot of damage because of Trample.
There is a Garrick in Chris Renner's hand.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to go long. There are your blocks.
Yep. Okay. So this will mean effectively these two Paladins have gained him 20 life.
Yep.
There we go.
Now there's a Garrick, Caller of the Beast. Renner's going to say, does that resolve? The answer is yes. As we can see, Schomer's hand right now, Verdict, Aetherling, and Elspeth. So here's a 5. You see a Forest, a Colonial Tusker, a Boon Satyr, a Deadbridge Goliath, and an Experiment 1. So +4.
Oh boy. I mean, right there, I just had memories of Grand Prix Columbus and some of Owen Turtenwald's Goblin Ringleaders.
Yeah. Couple of hits. Couple of hits.
Right now, Jeff Schomer, he's going to have to Verdict, and I think he's still way behind.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting behind the 8 ball in a big way now, because I agree with you. He does have to cast Supreme Verdict now to be able to clear up the board and stabilize, but you're casting Verdict and leaving the opponent with a Garrick in play, which means that Renner actually is the one with the options now, as opposed to you, the blue-white control deck, which wants to be the person with the options. Renner can choose to, put something into play. He can't, with the Garrick, he can choose to just keep ticking it up, but we're going to see Schomer actually cast Aetherling. This is a little bit surprising to me.
Well, I mean, he can kill Renner in 2 swings if he can manage to make everything work out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like a lot is going to have to go right for that to be the case.
So here's the plan, right? You block, you fade out the Aetherling. On your turn, you attack, you pump it up as far as you can, and then you fade it out and Supreme Verdict afterwards.
Okay.
And then try to do it again. I mean, granted, in order to do all of that, he does not have the mana to make his guy unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good position.
Yeah, he would need a lot of mana to be able to do all the things that we were talking about. It's going to be difficult for him to do those things, but this is the line that he's chosen, and we'll see if it does work out for Schomer. Now that Renner has seen an Aetherling, it's going to have to change the way that he plays, because I'm sure he's under the belief right now that Schomer has not drawn a Supreme Verdict, where that's not actually the case.
A Nylea right now would be really, last turn it would be amazing. This turn it would be amazing as well, because if that Aetherling fades out there we go,
Yeah,
a little bit of balance.
Yeah, just an Experiment 1.
If the Aetherling fades out, Trample means that there's no toughness there to soak up damage.
So Nylea's Trample is very, very effective right now, but it doesn't look like Renner has one in his hand.
The only effective counter spells that Jeff Schomer could be representing right now would be Annul and Swansong. So the coast is clear.
Yeah. Unload!
Rawr.
All right, 5/5s. Aetherling.
I block one.
Aetherling on blocking duty.
I'm going to run somewhere else. Another plane of reality.
All right, so that is phased out right now. 5 damage is going to come across. Schomer's going to go down to 10. Let's see what Renner wants to do in his second main phase, though. That's the important part right now, is how does he want to deploy threats? Is he scared to play anything? He's going to start with playing Experiment 1.
I think I'd play enough to demand a Supreme Verdict. And, right now, it's not actually a demand. One more creature, I think, makes it one.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on that one. Where I think one more creature kind of makes it a demand. Also, you can play enough creatures so that you can leave up Boon Satyr as well at instant speed, which looks like that's what's going to happen. So there's a Colonial Tusker, and there is going to be Experiment 1 just level up and just pass the turn back. So Aetherlink's going to come back now.
Okay. What's your plan, Mr. Schomer? It's got a grand total right now of 7 mana. He would love to have 2 fogs in his hand.
Yeah?
Well, presuming they were the white fogs.
Yeah, Holy Day
Holy
or
Day.
what have you, yeah. That's all I need. Just activate it, make it unblockable, get you for 8, Holy Day, do it again. All he needs is 1 Holy Day, actually. That's actually all he needs is 1 Holy Day to make this game a wrap, which is pretty funny.
You know, speaking of Holy Day, I wonder if there is a Turbo Fog deck to be had in this format.
I hope not. I really hope not, because that's no fun for anyone. Why would you hope there's a Turbo Fog? What is wrong with you? You like playing mono red. I guess
do.
your matchup against Turbo Fog is good. So I guess you would like that.
I'm a versatile person. I like playing Stasis too.
You see what I have to deal with here in the booth? Mono red and Stasis and Turbo Fog. Not like real decks that people would enjoy.
If you don't enjoy red, I don't know. I'm gonna tell Patrick Sullivan on you. Okay, here we go. He's tapping some mana. Nope, just preparing the mana. Okay. You cannot block him.
Now, where are we attacking is the question. Are we attacking Garrick or you? Because I feel like it's worth attacking Garrick, yeah, and then double pumping, killing it, and then you have enough mana. You have enough mana to go Aetherling, double pump it to kill it,
and then just Supreme
and
Verdict.
then Verdict. But you know your opponent has Boon Satyr. Okay, so he's going to blink this and then cast Verdict. Okay. This turn's actually not that bad. He's going to float a green mana as Renner so that he can cast Boon Satyr post Verdict.
That Garrick still there. That is so painful.
Yeah, so there's your Boon Satyr.
Back comes the Aetherling.
Yeah. And with 1 mana open there, there's your Garrick at 2. Draw a card, another Garrick. We know that Renner has a Mist Cutter Hydra in play. It would only be for 4 right now. But Pro Blue is super relevant right now because of Aetherling. So here is a turnover of 5. Mutavault, Nylea, Colonial Hydra, Boon Satyr, Nylea.
God, that is so gross. Every time that I see Garrick call friends for the party, I just feel like it is the most powerful thing happening in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get yourself into this situation, it's very, very good, and it's great against a control deck. I don't know how often you're able to get yourself in this situation. The 2 times that we have seen Garrick in action, it's been great. Once against Jeff Rasmussen playing white, black, red control, and in this matchup too.
I mean, he is playing them in the sideboard. You know, they are for the control players.
So Experiment 1 to start, Nylea to finish the turn. It's going to trigger Experiment 1, but also more importantly is the devotion is there. The gods are ready, and I think one thing not to ignore is that there's trample on the Boon Satyr and the Experiment 1. Yes, Experiment 1's only a 2/2 right now, but it does have trample, and it is willing to grow with Boon Satyr in hand for Renner.
Jeff Schomer here, he can do 2 swings. I mean, like, if he has some way to... I mean, at the very least, he can get rid of the Garrick. At the very least.
Yes.
But if he has enough kinds of cards that are tricksy, he could actually kill Chris. It's possible.
The other thing not to ignore too is that the Elspeth in the Schomer's hand actually is really good right now. Okay, so the tokens are okay, and then the destroy creatures of the power 4 or greater. How good is that right now? Doesn't kill Nylea, kills Boon Satyr, doesn't kill Experiment 1. So actually, that's not that great either. So how good is the token making part of this when those giant green creatures have trample? So what I think we're going to see him do is he's going to go make this. Is he going to go unblockable or blink? Okay, so he's going to go blink it. Oh, okay, so what he did is he shrunk it down to a 3, so it didn't die, and then made it unblockable to kill Garrick.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you could have just unblockable.
Yeah,
attack.
the better play is unblockable, attack, and then blink it, do the Wrath effect, and then it comes back untapped.
Yeah.
For blocking. So while the -1 power thing is a little bit more,
It's
a little
neat.
more tricksy and neat, there was a better play available. It looks like Schomer did miss.
And it's not unreasonable for Chris to bring his god to this world.
Yeah, not hard at all. I mean, again, his hand is chock loaded because his Garrick's been hitting so well. So this thing should be active this turn, almost certainly, as long as he sequences his spells in the right order. Here's Devotion to make it up to 3.
Oh, there it is.
Not going to trigger the Experiment one, of course, because it has evolved too much. But with any double green card right now, and he's got plenty of them in his hand, this should grow. This will grow the Experiment 1 and will make it so Nylea's online. We want to take care of that Elspeth, of course.
I mean, he's got double green in there.
He's got Boon Satyr in his hand.
Yeah, lots of options.
Yep, and there's the Boon Satyr.
Okay. Experiment 1 grows. The god is alive.
So he could attack Schomer here for 9, put him down to 1, but I think you're better off just killing the Elspeth and getting him for 6. But I guess that, there's also the rationale that Elspeth is pretty irrelevant right now because the counters that Elspeth makes actually don't matter because of trample, so that you can just leave Elspeth in play, put the opponent down to 1 with me at 16, and force him to have something. I don't know what that something can be, but you force him to have something.
Let's make some tokens. I guess I kind of like attacking the Elspeth here because it's 3 life either way. Those 3 tokens represent 3 life.
Sure.
Just less options.
Yeah, I could see that too, actually.
And,
see Renner taking a look, saying, "How big is everything over there? What do I have in my hand? I have an Elspeth, and I have another card. Do I have to play the other Planeswalker?"
If he's got a Cyclonic Rift in his hand. Oh, nope.
No, it's a Yolk Dox, and that is going to do it. So Chris Renner is going to win this match 2-1. Mono Green fans at home, 6-0 you go. Blue-White Control takes its first loss there for Schomer. So congratulations again to Chris Renner with his Mono Green deck, 6-0 in this 9-round Standard Open. One more win, he'll be able to double